right, we are live streaming. Welcome to this week's Teaching Raid live stream. If you are new to these events, these are something we've been doing on Sarlona for a few years now. It's our 4th year doing them, and we take in folks that are new to the raids and we teach them how it works. And we're not trying to make.
I do have a bit of a blue bar, but
We're trying to welcome Magical Bamboo. We're not trying to make these folks expert at these raids. We're just trying to give them a basic level of competency so they feel comfortable going into, like a pug raid and have a decent idea of what's going on. So, sometimes we get people who are very new to DDO. Sometimes we get longtime players that just avoided the raiding scene for whatever reason. Or sometimes we get longtime players that just don't know the raid that we're doing on any given week. And then everything in between. There are lots of reasons why people avoid raiding. And, the biggest reason, definitely one of the biggest reasons why I've seen, and I've heard from others too, is social reasons. It can be very intimidating going into a raid, not knowing what you're doing. And sometimes people, raid leaders can be jerks, or they don't want to explain anything, and people feel lost. And it's if you're not having fun, then what's the point of playing the game? Well, part of these teaching raids is about showing people like raids can be smooth, and you can have fun doing it, and you can understand it. And well, like I said, most importantly, raids can be a lot of fun. So we really try to encourage new folks to join these events. And we're going to be doing something a little bit different this week. I had actually no signups, which occasionally happens. It's the first time this year. I had one week last year where there weren't any signups. We've already actually worked through every raid in the game once, and now we're in the process of working through them again. And so we work through every raid in the game twice before we shut it down for the year, and then we'll start it up hopefully again next year. So since I didn't have any like newbies signed up. I actually have Thaddeus here, who joined us for when we did this as a teaching raid in March. We had 9 signups for this in March, but none this week. So what we're going to do is a shorthanded Abbot. So you can see like one example of how this raid can be done shorthanded. So I have me and 2 of my guildies, and then Thaddeus, who's only run this a couple of times. And I still wanted to do the live stream, even though we don't really have any newbies, because I know there are people that enjoy watching these, and you're very welcome, Zeth. I'm glad you enjoy these. And that way you guys can ask questions, and we're going to be going through every puzzle, and I'll explain to you guys how it works. So if you have any questions, I'm monitoring the chat. If things look a little bit different this week, it's because I'm out of town. I'm not on my normal rig, so it probably looks like I'm playing on a screen that's a little more scrunched up than normal. I'm doing everything on one screen this time, as opposed to normally I have the chat on one screen and then the game on another monitor. I don't have that luxury this week. Next week it'll be back to the usual. Alright, so we're going to get started. Okay guys, we're going to go ahead and start stepping in. We've got 8 people watching us now. And I am going to take a minute to explain things for the live streamers. You guys won't hear the explanation, but I'll let you know what we're doing and where we're getting started and stuff. Hey Zaban, welcome. So I want to know, for the people watching the live stream, is there anybody who has never done the Heroic Abbot raid before? And I want to make sure you realize we're doing the Heroic Abbot raid, not Mark of Death, which is the Epic Abbot raid. Or is there anybody who maybe has...
songs, so let me know when I should start playing.
Is there anybody that like maybe has done the Abbot raid a few times, but doesn't really know it well and is still learning? What'd you say, Thaddeus?
I got songs. I got bard songs, so let me know when I should start playing those when you're ready.
Okay, it'll be a few minutes. Okay, Zeth, cool. This is, this is a great raid, and it's worth mentioning. This is my favorite raid, actually. It's worth mentioning that even though this is a really old raid, the loot is still relevant, which is a remarkable accomplishment. And I'm sure, when they designed this at the time, they had probably no clue that 8 or 9 years later, whatever, how long it's been, this, some of the loot would still be relevant. There's a bow in here that is still among the best bows to use, like in upper heroics. And you got your Vile Blasphemy, which is one of the best spell point clickies in the game. It's not exclusive, so you can just get piles of them. Like, I have tunes that have like 4 and 5 of them. You've got the Litany of the Dead trinket, which is an awesome, upper heroic level trinket. One of the best still. There's a very nice cloak. There's a nice caster staff. Lots of great stuff that comes from this raid. And I also want to mention that I guess the loot tables are broken right now, I've heard. I can't personally verify this, but it looked like the devs were acknowledging this. That seals of the Black Abbot, which are used to upgrade the loot in here, all the loot has one upgrade. I guess it's not dropping in the raid, but in case you guys, you didn't know that, you can get a seal of the Black Abbot from the Shield of Legends and Tome of Legends turn-in. You can talk to the NPC down there, in Upper Necropolis right outside here, and you get all 8 pieces of the shield or all 8 pieces of the tome, and on the reward list at the bottom will be a seal of the Black Abbot. So you don't have to run the raid and try for a seal if you're trying to upgrade, a raid item. You do have that option. All right, so here we are, just doing Abbot with 4, and it can be a little bit tricky to do this with 4. This raid can technically be soloed, but it is very difficult to do that, and it does require some luck, and it does require some very specific abilities, like the ability to avoid petrification. It requires, well, and like I said, I guess it would require you to be able to self-raise, so it's not very practical to solo this. But it can be done with 2 pretty reasonably, and even if you were like in a small guild, this is the kind of raid where, like, even if you were in a guild of just like 4 or 5 of you, if you practice together as a guild, you can knock this out with 4 or 5 people pretty easily. And I have full tutorial videos on how to do all the puzzles, how to do it shorthanded, etc., etc. Even the April Fool's video, which was a whole tutorial on just how to spot left, that was pretty ridiculous but fun to do. But don't watch that video if you're actually trying to learn how to do Abbot. So now items can get mythic. Yes, they can. I don't know if that remains if you upgrade it, though. Somebody in chat is asking if the mythic, they were just asking if these items can drop as mythic, and yes, we've seen that. But when they upgrade with the Seal of the Black Abbot, I believe that mythic is lost. Does anybody know for sure?
I was reading on the forums that when you upgrade an item, it creates a new item. But I don't know if that's specific to certain quest chains or not, though.
That's definitely the case with like Vault of Night loot, and like old school epic loot that it actually, when you like make it epic, or it destroys the old version, like you were saying, and creates a new version. I'm just not sure if this system for this pack functions like that. So I guess we'll just say not sure on that one.
I've heard that it does, but I have not seen it.
You've heard that it's lost?
Yes, I've heard it, but I have not actually seen it.
Okay. Which would make the mythic versions probably not as valuable for a lot of the stuff. But if you got a mythic litany, because when you upgrade the litany, it just removes the taint of evil. So if you weren't on a good tune, then a mythic litany could be really nice, for example. But if you needed to remove the Taint of Evil, then the mythic might be cleared out. And mythic mark is not just from Reaper. There is something called a Reaper bonus that you get from running Reaper quests. Mythic can now fall on any named loot, even like the old stuff that you find in like Waterworks and Lobby quests. All that stuff. Any, as far as I know, any named item in the game can appear with a mythic bonus of +1 to +4. Pretty awesome. So it certainly makes some of those older items kind of interesting. You get like a mythic 4 Sword of the 30, for example. Pretty neat. you get a well, I guess there's all kinds of examples. I'm not going to go through them all now. But definitely, some of them are still going to be totally irrelevant, but some of them are going to be pretty cool if you can get some high mythics on there. So the way we're going to do this is, so normally in an Abbot raid, what we're going to do is we're going to step forward. And by the way, if you're totally new to this, once you walk across this blue barrier bridge that we walked across here, you just want to step on the very tiptoe of the platform, otherwise the raid's going to start and people will yell at you. And a big reason why we do this teaching raid is so people don't yell at you. So you don't get yelled at when you go into bugs. So the Abbot will step down as soon as we move forward. You see he's on he's on his hand over there perching. He'll come down. He's a lich, so that means he's immune to electric and cold. His DR is bludgeoning and magic. We're going to beat him down to 70% health. Then he's going to take a smoke break. Then there's going to be 3 D doors that appear across the platform from us. One is directly ahead of us, one is off to the left, and one is off to the right. There are 3 puzzles that need to be done in order to complete this raid. And it's the same 3 puzzles every time, but their locations are random. And so we're going to be sending in spotters into the left and right D door, and they're going to tell us what's there. And then by process of elimination, we'll know what's behind the middle D door. And normally, at that point, you would just send your remaining people into the jobs that they're assigned to. You want to assign jobs ahead of time so everybody knows where to go. There's a puzzle called Roids, which is short for asteroids. Some people call it meteors. It's like a 3D version of the old Atari game Asteroids. There's a puzzle called Ice, which is basically like a sort of a leapfrog little puzzle. It's not, these aren't really puzzles. They're just sort of tasks that need to be done. And then there's the most complex one, which is Goggles, which we'll be showing all of these. And I love doing Goggles. I've been doing it for years. It's a lot of fun, but most people will avoid it because it definitely takes some practicing. It takes some commitment and some practice to get competent with Goggles. But if there are any of you on Sarlona, if you'd ever like a private Goggles tutoring session, just send me a tell if I'm available. I love to do Goggles, and I love to teach others Goggles. But we're going to be showing it here, but it definitely takes some practice. But like I said, if you had even one friend, and you were both flagged for that, you can come in here on normal. And you can easily beat down the Abbot on normal. You can bring your level 30s in here, beat the Abbot down on normal. Then you just go into any puzzle you want, and you can practice. So you and your friend come in here on normal, you can beat the Abbot down, go into Goggles, and practice that all day long. If you die, you just recall out, you do it again, go back into Goggles. And you can do that for any puzzle. So what we're going to do, since we're doing such a short-handed event here, is we're going to beat the Abbot down to 70, and then I'm going to send spotters into the left and right D doors. And if somebody ends up in asteroids, I'm going to have them pick up all 4 stacks of rocks and then just die. They'll jump off the platform, die. Whenever you die inside of one of the puzzles or tasks, you appear back here on the main platform. So we're going to raise them, and the D doors will be up for 90 seconds. So there's plenty of time for them to, die and reappear here, get them raised, and then for us to go into the appropriate D doors. And we're going to do the ice puzzle first. Okay, guys, I was just explaining this on the live stream. We're going to get started here in just a minute, and here's what we're going to do. So when the D doors appear, we're going to send our normal left and right spotters, and you guys are going to say what's there. If you appear in asteroids, I want you to pick up the 4 stacks of rocks before you jump off and die. We might need them to break people out of encasements, for example. And then I want us all to go into ice. And then after,
Who's spotting?
I'm going to type that in here in just a second. I'll probably have Turek and Shaman do it. In fact, yeah, that is definitely what I'll do. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Shimon is going to spot left. Turek, you're going to spot right. And if it's not ice, then you're going to die. I'll raise you, and we'll go into ice together. If you end up in roids, though, please grab the 4 stacks of rocks before you die, okay?
Okay.
Cool. Alright. Let's get some buffs. You go ahead and do your songs now, Thaddeus. The Abbot likes to debuff, so bard songs are pretty nice in here. Although, it's a level 19 elite, so, I mean, it's not a big deal. But in Mark of Death, they're a legendary, or their epic Abbot raid is certainly more significant. Okay, guys, let's do it. I'm just gonna put her on auto attack. The Abbot bounces around. He doesn't move around freely. He bounces around to like 4 different locations. Center, north, south, and east. Okay, Shimon left, Turek right. Don't go in until I tell you, Thaddeus, please. Because I might ask you to go into...
Yep.
Left
goggles.
Okay, come on out.
Right is ice.
Okay. Don't go in, Thaddeus. Thaddeus, I want you to go into the center D door, grab the 4 stacks of rocks, and then jump off and die. Go ahead and go right, Shimon.
Go to the right? Okay.
Yep. Grab the 4 stacks of rocks, Thaddeus, and then jump off and die. So I grabbed Thaddeus' soul stone, and then he'll appear here. I hope your soul stone will bounce you here. Yeah, it did.
Yep. Nice.
Alright, Thaddeus, do you have 4 stacks of rocks in your inventory now? Just want to make sure they didn't drop.
I do.
Okay, great. Can you pass a stack? Actually, yeah, why don't you go ahead and pass a stack to each of us? Thank you. So right now I just grabbed the wand that was on that pedestal, and I'm going to equip
Thank
it.
you.
Let's see, I'm going to drag it into my inventory, or into my hotbar here.
Yep.
Drag the asteroids into my, or the boulders, excuse me, into my hotbar too. So the first thing you want to do here is I'm just showing breaking the sarcophagus on the live stream. Zavan auto attack is you have a feat called attack in your feat list. You just drag that into your hotbar and then click it to like activate it. There are 2 sarcophagi that need to be destroyed in order for each of the tasks or puzzles to be considered complete. And so here in ice, the first sarcophagi, you can see half of it from the starting platform here. So you just want to take like a throwing weapon and break that. And that way it gets it out of the way. You could, like, once we get down there, we could break it when we're there, but it's just one less thing to do. We're already going to be sort of tied up with doing our little task here in ice. So it's just one less thing to do. Gets that out of the way. So the way that we shoot our wand, it's not like a normal wand, because if you equip it and then you just, like, you know, hit the attack or use button and it just swings it like it's a baseball bat. You know, it doesn't function like a normal wand. You actually have to click on it on your hotbar. I'm just going to demonstrate shooting the wand once and then we'll get started. So you want to just double click it on your hotbar, or click it on your hotbar, and it makes that little ice island. Don't start yet. And then so the way it's going to work is there's going to be 2 people in here. Maybe there'd be a third because of the spotter. And so you shoot your little ice ball island, then you both jump to that. Then the other person shoots their little ice ball island with their wand, because there were 2 wands here. And then you all jump to that. And then the first person shoots their wand, and you both jump to that. And then the second person shoots their wand. And you just alternate back and forth, shooting that little ice ball island out in front of you until you get to the end of this little windy river. And then you exit. The sort of caveat is that the wands are on long cooldown. So it can't be the same person shooting the wand every time. That's why you have to alternate. And it's easy to screw it up too, you know. And so if you do screw it up, like, the thing's gonna be on timer by the time, you know, that little ice ball island only lasts like 10 seconds. And so if you misfire, which is easy to do, like if somebody is standing in front of you like this.
Should I give my wand to Thaddeus?
Oh,
I could just swim it if I need to.
Shimon, you didn't grab the wand?
I have
No.
one.
I can swim.
Do you know how to use it, Turek?
Oh, yes. But
Okay.
I thought Thaddeus might like to practice.
No, we're gonna use you. But not yet. We'll start in just a second. So if somebody's standing directly in front of you, like, especially like if you're targeting a reticle, if they're in front of you targeting a reticle, it'll just make, and you shoot it, and it'll just make the wand just like shoot off into the sky. And that'll even happen if, like, somebody's directly behind you too. So when you shoot your wand, you want to make sure that you don't have somebody directly in front of you behind you. And if you're not the wand shooter, you know, don't stand in front of or behind anybody else on the platform. So we're going to just take turns shooting our little wands until we get all the way across. Okay, Turek, I'm going to go ahead and... actually, why don't you go ahead and shoot first whenever you're ready. And then we'll just all go. Remember, don't stand in front of or behind anybody doing the wanding. And then we all jump to it. Okay, and then I'm going to aim it out so that it's... Don't stand behind me, Thaddeus. So that it's not too far to jump to. That was a little bit far. That was a little bit short. No big deal. But you definitely don't want to do it too short all the time, because you only got 10 shots. That was a little bit far. Monks, when they used to have the water walking skill years ago, could just water walk across this, but they don't have that ability anymore. Also, you can see these dart traps. If you get hit by a dart trap, that can screw up the firing. So you generally don't want to stand in them, but they're pretty easy to avoid. They don't do very much damage. Don't go in through the portal yet, please. close enough.
Just wanted to get out of your way.
That's cool. I'm just gonna demonstrate the misfiring, so Shimon, just stay right there.
Right here?
Yeah, just stay there, because I'm gonna, like, fire into you and show how, like, it misfires when somebody's in front of or behind you. So, earlier I said don't, you know, make sure there's nobody in front of you behind you. So watch when I try to shoot... Oh, yeah, go ahead, dude. When I try to shoot the wand, and he's standing in front of me, watch it just shoot into the ceiling. They just shot, like, right into the ceiling. Like, and then you lose... Now the wand's on cooldown, and if that happened when you're out in the river, you're screwed. Now, I do want to show you... Well, first of all, there's extra wands here that appear at the end here. I do want to show you... I'm just going to show swimming real quick. If you're a good self-healing toon, then, you know, you can just swim across. You know, the water ticks for damage, but you can totally out-heal that. You know, if you have a Warlock Aura, which I don't have mine on right now, but you can easily swim this. You know, if you're like a Druid and have Regenerate or whatever, if you have good self-healing, you can easily swim across this. But do not forget to break this first sarcophagi, which was right there. And do not forget to break the second sarcophagi. Otherwise, the puzzle won't be considered complete. And also, if you look in the right-hand corner, it says destroy the sarcophagi, granting the Abbot immortality. 4 left. So there's 2 in the Roids puzzle and 2 in the Goggles puzzle. If you have any questions about how ice works, that's the nutshell version. And we're going to go back in. I'm just going to explain how the beatdown works. Notice how the ice ball wands reappeared. We already got an extra one, and then they'll just keep respawning. And what you're going to use those for is, if the Abbot does, the Abbot's going to have some special moves. When you go back in there, because, well, so ideally, if you had plenty of people, you would split the groups up into the 3 puzzles, and everybody would do those puzzles at the same time. And ideally, they would all be completed successfully, and then you would just all go back in and beat the Abbot down, and it's over. But we didn't have groups in the other puzzles. We just all went into ice. So the way it works, if any puzzle's not done, if any puzzle's not complete, you got to go in and beat down the Abbot again, this time to 30% health, and then go do the rigmarole with the spotters again. And the puzzles re-randomize. Their locations will change. Some people don't know that, but they do re-randomize. So you gotta send spotters again, figure out where everything is, and then send the people with the appropriate puzzle. But whatever puzzle's done is already considered complete. You don't have to redo that one. So ice is done. Ice is complete. We don't have to redo this. So we're gonna go in and beat the Abbot down, and now we're gonna go into the Roids puzzle, the Asteroids puzzle. And we're gonna use those rocks that Thaddeus picked up. There'll be more in there, actually, because the second go around, more of those rocks will spawn. But we're going to use those rocks to shoot down asteroids that are coming in. It's like like I said, it's a 3-dimensional version of the old Asteroids arcade game, the Atari game. And then that only takes a couple of minutes, and then 2 sarcophagi appear, we break them, we come right back in, then we'll do the Goggles puzzle. After you, once you get to after any of the puzzles are done, and you get to that either final beatdown, or in this case, a beatdown to reopen the puzzles, the Abbot now has some special moves. He has 4 special moves. One of them is he summons invisible creatures. No big deal. AoEs like Blade Barrier, Firewall, chew them right up. His second special move is that he will disjunct your gear, temporarily making some of your gear non-functional. No big deal. It can be a little tricky if he gets like your striding item or your jumping item. Like if you get your jumping item and you get like knocked out into the water and then you can't jump on the platform, that can be pretty funny. Not if it's you, but that can be problematic. But generally speaking, having some of your gear disjuncted is no big deal in here. The third thing he does is he can encase you in a boulder. And the only way to get out of that is to use the rocks that you get from the Asteroids puzzle, like the leftover rocks, which we have some. That's one of the reasons why I sent them in there. So I want to have them in case we get encased. So you can throw the rocks at the boulder to break people out. You can also let it time out. It lasts like a minute. They tick for a little bit of damage while they're in there. But after a minute, they will come out. If you're jumping when he tries to hit you with the encasement, it typically misses. If you have petrification immunity, it won't hit you. If you have spell absorption, it won't hit you. And that's the same for Mark of Death. He can encase you there too. And then the fourth special ability, and this is Clutch, this is where a lot of disorganized pugs are going to experience a lot of attrition and potentially wipe, is that he does the Inferno. He does this in the Mark of Death as well. And the whole platform is going to go up like a giant firewall. And when that happens, what you typically do in Heroic Abbot is you shoot the little ice ball island, like we've been shooting in here, out into the water, and everybody jumps to that island, and you're safe. That island lasts for 10 seconds, so, you know, after about 10 seconds, you just jump back up the main platform. If you're in the Inferno, if you get hit by the Inferno, it acts as a curse, and it doesn't show up as a curse in your buff bar. You need to know this. Same as Mark of Death, and a lot of people do not know this. You have to drink a remove curse pot. Otherwise, you're going to just keep taking hit point and spell point damage until you're dead. So you do your Marks of Death and you do your Abbots, people get hit by an Inferno, and all of a sudden, you know, there are these casters going, what happened to all my mana? They got hit by the Inferno and they didn't drink a curse pot. And then, you know, 10, 12 seconds later, all their mana's gone. It actually takes a little bit longer than that, but it does drain it pretty quickly. So we're going to go in. And we're not just going to all jump in, because what can happen is, like, if we all went in at the same time right now, the Abbot can do his special move immediately. Like, if he encased all 4 of us in the boulder, like, that could cause a wipe. Like, he could do an encasement and then do, like, an Inferno after that. And that could be pretty ugly. So you want to send sort of a spotter in there to let you know when it's safe. The Abbot can only do his special moves, like, every 15 or 20 seconds. So the spotter just goes in, waits for the Abbot to do one of his special moves, and as long as it's not the Inferno, he calls everybody in. If it's the Inferno, wait for the Inferno to subside. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and spot in, guys, and we're going to do the same thing, except for this time we are going to go into Roids. But don't go back into the main arena, main platform until I say it's okay. I'm going to equip Spell Absorption. Remember earlier I said if you have Spell Absorption, you can't get encased. That's what I'm really worried about. Spell Absorption is also going to block the Inferno. So if you have like a Mantle of the World Shaper, Jeweled Cloak, Epic Fierly Mirror Cloak, whatever, your Spell Absorption items can absorb the Inferno, so you can survive them. And you should have that. I mean, you should have Spell Absorption items on all your tunes. Very important. Any tune you're serious about. But, you know, like I said, if you have a disorganized pug, somebody doesn't get the wand off in time. He tried to encase me as soon as I step in, everybody in. So, you know, that's a perfect example right there. Like, if we had all jumped in and got, you know, hit by that encasement, we could have been screwed. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to send Shimon left and Turek right. So this time, Thaddeus, I know it's only your 3rd time, so we got to beat him down to 30% health now.
So we gotta kick his butt a bit.
Yep. Inferno. So I'm just putting on Spell Absorption. We're just gonna power through it. Shimon or Thaddeus, you want to drink a curse pot if you get hit by the Inferno. Actually, that goes for everybody. Make sure you drink a curse pot. You get hit by an Inferno. Okay, Shimon left, Turek right. This time we want Roids.
Left is ice.
Right is Goggles.
Okay, go ahead and come out, guys. Don't go in yet, Thaddeus.
I should just jump and die?
Yep, jump and die.
I'm trying to.
I had to run all the way
There we go.
across. There we go.
But
Okay,
Thank you.
let's go center to Roids.
I should just run that.
Oh, we need you in as fast as possible. So face the center of the platform, make a cross, Thaddeus, don't be all the way back at the back edge, because you get hit by an asteroid, it'll knock you right off. You need to equip your rocks, Thaddeus. There you go. And you're just manually, you equip the boulders by clicking on them on your hotbar, and you're just manually targeting and clicking to throw, just like you would manually target and throw a throwing weapon. That's all you're doing. The rocks are just, the boulders are just throwing weapons. Now you can use regular throwing weapons to break these asteroids, but if you don't use the boulders, then they don't count towards the number of asteroids that you need to complete. So you generally do not want to use like a bow or any other kind of throwing weapon to break these, because like I said, you need to break them with these boulders that you're provided with, otherwise it doesn't count. So with 4 people, you come in here, there's 4 stacks of rocks that you pick up. Okay, so this is typically a 4-person job. You can solo this though. If you're really good and really quick, you can solo this. You could definitely do it with 2. It's reasonable to do it with 2. You know, you definitely need to be practiced to do it with 2, because you need a lot. You have a lot more zone to cover. You know, this when you're doing it this way, you're really just covering the person's back across from you. And then you should also like look 90 degrees left and right, and you should look up and down. Some people like to go into mouse look mode like this, or you even turn off their UI so that it's just so they can really just focus on the asteroids. But I don't like to do that. That might have been my bad. I'm not really sure.
I've been science.
Works for me. You want to be careful to not throw multiple rocks back. Like if you hold the button down for just like a half a second, like you're going to throw 2 rocks. And if you continuously do that, you're going to run out of rocks. If you're out of rocks, pick up more. There you go. And if you run out of rocks before this is over, then get back in your spot, Thaddeus. Then, you know, you can fail. You know, if these asteroids start hitting the party, they do a lot of damage. Back in the day when people had like, you know, level cap is 20, people had like 300-400 hit points. That was really scary. I mean, party could get hit like 2 times, maybe 3 best, before it just caused a wipe. But now, you know, people got, you know, thousands of hit points. You know, everybody's got over 1,000 hit points pretty much. Actually, Tora doesn't have that many, but she's only level. Oops. She's only. Yeah, she's only level 19. But yeah, I mean the way that this fails is by, you know, people taking so much damage that they die, and that all the asteroids, not enough asteroids were destroyed. So I said a minute ago, like, you don't want to stand way here back at the edge of the platform. So you get hit by an asteroid, you know, it like knocks you back or to the side. If it knocks you off, you die. You can't get back in here, you know, without doing another beatdown. And whatever rocks you had in your inventory go with you. So you want to be like, you know, a body length in or so from the edge, half a body length or so. So if you get hit, it just doesn't knock you right off. Okay, so that was enough asteroids. There's the 2 sarcophagi that appeared. We break them. Don't step in yet. A couple extra stacks of boulders appear. And you can pick those up, because remember, those are used to break people out of the encasement. And now we're going to do the same dance as before. I'm going to go in to see when it's safe. And then once it's safe, once the Abbot does one of his special moves, I'll call everybody in. This time I'm going to go ahead and do the wand. I'm going to go ahead and do the ice ball wand for the live stream this time. So if there's an inferno, you can run to the north. I guess it's worth mentioning that different servers do that a little bit differently. Like on Sarlona, people typically shoot the ice ball island in the north of the platform. But when I was on Thalanis and hosted this, I found out at the wrong time, which was at the time of that on Thalanis, they go to the east of the platform and do that. So on Sarlona we do north, Thalanis I guess they do east. But you know, you do whatever, you know, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go in. I'll call you guys in when it's safe. We're gonna do the same spotting thing, and we're all gonna go into. It's an inferno. Do not come in. So when you got an inferno, you just shoot the little ice ball island there, and you jump out on it, and you're safe from it. like so. And you can jump back into the tail end of the Inferno, you'll be fine. But you don't want to be in the Inferno when it starts. Everybody in. Whenever the Abbot does a special move, he says something over his head. He said, what you can't see. And the DM voice said, an ominous breeze, something, something, something. That means he summoned invisible creatures. Which, interestingly, you can see if you are wearing the goggles from the goggles puzzle. But that's all you can see. If you're wearing the goggles from the goggles puzzle in here, you can't see anything. You can't see the Abbot. You can't see other party members encased. But you can see the invisible creatures, and they're weeps, or whatever they are. See, Turek is throwing those little rocks, the boulders from the Roids puzzle, at me to break me out of the encasement. Make sure you don't have anything else targeted. If you have the Abbot targeted, it doesn't count as a hit. Inferno. You gotta bust me out. You have
trying to hit
yeah,
you,
I
but
know
I'm not hitting you.
you have something else targeted, that's why, and it's not counting. There we go. Encased again, he loves me. Target yourself, Turek. He just said what you can't see. He's summoning invisible creatures. Okay. Shimon left, Turek right. This time we're doing goggles. But don't go in until I say.
Left is right.
Right is goggles.
Don't go in, Thaddeus.
I just forget easily, so I just like standing by it.
Okay, Shimon, go ahead and go in. Go right.
Right?
Yeah. Thaddeus, go right. Or no, wait a minute. I'm sorry, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. Okay, now go in, Thaddeus.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So this is the goggles puzzle. My favorite. The most, perhaps the most intricate puzzle in DDO. Like I said before, definitely something that takes a lot of practice. But anybody can do it. It's not hard, it just takes practice. And patience. This is not the kind of puzzle you want to try to hurry through. If you're really good, if you have like a really good party, and you kind of need two people. I mean, like I said before, you can solo it, but it's not very practical to solo this raid. You really want to have two people here in goggles. And so this is it's basically an exercise in giving clear instructions and following those instructions. So there are two sides to this. So you can see me and Turek got put in this side, and then Shimon and Thaddeus are on the other side. And so the first person that comes into the goggles puzzle gets put on a random side, and then every successive person gets put on the opposite side. So there's always going to be, the same number of people on each side, unless there's an odd number of people. And so on the other side, there's a set of goggles that was on the floor. So it looks like a purple bag, treasure bag.
Okay, when you're ready, Ginger.
I'll be ready in just a minute.
Okay.
A couple minutes. And there's a set of goggles. You equip those goggles, and what it allows you to do is see the tiles. Right out here in this void, there's actually tiles that are phasing in and out. It's a field of tiles that's 4 rows wide. So like this is actually row 1. The marker is like at the beginning of this V-shaped notch that's cut out. And this is solid. You're not going to fall through it. But that in front of me there, that is not solid. You fall right through there. But this is solid. See, I'm not falling through. This is the center of row 2. This little seam right here that you see between these tiles here. And this is row 3. And there's not a really good marker for row 4. It's just sort of like just a little bit in front of this second to last pillar here. And so if your goggler tells you to line up in row 4, this is where you want to be. Row 3, this is where you want to be. Row 2, this is where you want to be. And row 1, this is where you want to be. at the beginning of this V-shaped notch, not like in the middle of it. And there are similar markers sort of on the other side. So they can see, so Shimon has the goggles, and he and I have been goggling together for years. He can see this field. So all he has to do is lead me across. He has to give me instructions to get across. And like it's 4 rows wide, and it's 12.5 tiles long. And the tiles are, the tiles are pretty big. So this is the width of the tiles, like from here to here. This is the width of the tile, and they're squares, so it's that wide and that long. So it's, it's not like a tiny little tile. But you still need to give, very clear instructions and precise instructions, and your goggler needs to understand. So like I said, it's really an exercise in giving crystal clear instructions, and then having your runner, me in this case, be able to understand and follow those instructions exactly. So any kind of ambiguity is bad. You want to make sure your runner knows exactly what they're supposed to do. And as the runner, I want to make sure I understand exactly what he's expecting of me. And I'm going to show you, when there are 2 sides to this, because as soon as he gets me across, then I'm going to be the goggler for their side. There's another set of goggles, and then I'll talk more about sort of leading people across. But right now I'm going to be led across first. And so he's going to tell me what row to line up in, and then I'm going to get my location by typing /LOC. /LOC. And that puts some numbers up on the screen here. It comes up in standard. So if you don't have standard set to come up in like your party chat, then you might need to switch to general chat, or just right click and set incoming message to standard. In any event, it says you are at R1 whatever. This is your coordinates in the game world. It tells you where you are in the game, and if you ever get stuck, and you're doing a bug report, they ask you what's your location. This is how you get it. Typing /LC. The only number we care about for this is the H number. It's the last number here. Mine says H177.2. The H number is the direction that you're facing. It's like a circle, 360 degrees. Okay? And the reason why that's significant is because I want to face, in this instance, I want to face due south. Perfectly south. So perfectly south is 180 degrees. And from that point, once I get my location set to 180.0, from that point on, I'm only going to strafe left and right step. I'm not going to be turning. And that way, like, I'll be set to perfectly south, I'll be strafing left and right, and whatever row I'm supposed to be in, I won't accidentally drift forward or backwards, because if I'm strafing left and right only, now I'm moving in a perfect east-west line, that I won't be drifting north or south, which some people don't get their location, and they're kind of lazy about it, which can work. But the problem is, if you're even just a couple degrees off, by the time you get to the end of the field, you can drift so far forward or backwards that you can just fall right off the front or back edge. So it's really a good idea to be, to get it exact. If you can't get it exact, if you can get within like 1 degree, then, that should work. But you don't want to be like 5 degrees off. What row?
Row 2.
Okay, so I got my H number set to 180.0. He said row 2, that's where I am. And now I'm only going to be strafing left and right.
3 and 2 to the.
So he types in 4-3-2. What that means, this is our little system, and I think this is what a lot of people use. I've seen other people do this. That means we're going to be moving 4 tiles, and then pause, and then 3 tiles, and then pause, and then 2 tiles, and then pause. I'm going to be mirroring his movements. We're going to be using what's called the mirror method. So I'm going to be watching him, staying lined up with him. When he moves, I move. When he stops, I stop. He tells me the pattern, so I have a general idea of what we're going to be doing, so I don't feel lost when I'm out there, and I don't panic or something like that. So I know 4-3-2. I don't need to know exactly how far that is. Remember, I just need to stay lined up with him. I move when he moves. I stop when he stops. I'm ready. So for the first move, he's probably out there already, and I'm just going to move to him for the first move. Make sure you light yourself up Notice how Thaddeus is kind of hard to see. He's wearing black armor.
You see me now?
Yeah, I see you now. So, Shimon over there, he probably
My
put
first
like
move is over 4 where I'm standing, so I need to cycle.
displacement, and the red fire shield is really good. So it'll be 4, 3,
Cycling out,
2.
get ready. Come over 4.
So I'm going over 4 for my first move. And now I'm lagging. Okay.
And pause. Okay. You're on a blue, it's okay.
Oh, okay. So
I was lagging there too.
I'm on a blue safe tile, thankfully. We were both lagging there.
This will be the continuation of the puzzle, 3 and 2.
3 and 2, I'm ready.
Come over 3.
So I'm staying with him. I stop when he stops.
Pause.
I don't want to overshoot him. I did a little bit there.
Over 2. And don't pass me. I'll lag there again. You're on a blue. Don't move.
For the purpose of the video, can you do me... Can you just run from side to side on that tile? So wait, go back and forth maybe 5, 6 times on the tile that I'm on. Not from center to center, from edge to edge. So what I want you, the people watching the live stream,
about here.
he's running from edge to edge on the tile that I'm on. So you can see, like, it's a pretty big tile. And I'm in the middle of it right now, or close enough. He's running edge to edge. So you can see, like, it's not like a super tight situation. But right now I'm on a blue tile, which is a static tile that's not phasing in and out. And you're going to see, when I get the goggles on the other side, you're going to see, if you haven't seen that before, what that looks like. You may be wondering why, like, I'm standing out here in the middle of nothing and everything's fine. Most of the tiles are phasing in and out, but there are going to be some blue tiles. Sometimes there aren't any. But if there are blue tiles, they're static, they don't phase in and out, and they're safe spots, basically. You could have none. I've seen as many as 12 and a half. If you get a few and they're usable, that's great. Consider yourself lucky. I'm ready.
Okay, I tell you, it's 2 and end.
2 then end?
Yep. 2 face the end, and then you can just shove over.
Okay, I'm ready.
Second, I'll get ready. Over 2. Let's try to face the end. And
You can just jump that.
jump.
So I've got, Misty Escape, you got wings or whatever. You get close enough to the end, you can just turn and jump it. So there was the sarcophagi that you got to break. There's
You ready,
2.
little mama?
There's 2 in every puzzle.
Yeah.
And so you make sure you don't forget to break that one. Notice how it says 1, there's 1 left.
Ready.
And I said there were 2 sides to this.
Come over 4.
And the other side is right over there. And you go to the upstairs and the end of this hall, and there's going to be your second set of goggles.
Over 3. And pause.
Pick those up.
Over 2.
And my inventory's full of garbage. Let me just
And pause. Don't. That's good. You're right there.
find them here. This is a
Am I
scenario
on
you
blue?
don't
I
want to
have
be
to
in.
recheck my look.
Yep.
Here they are.
You're on a blue. You're fine.
Okay, equip the goggles, and now I can see those tiles on the other side. I can't see the tiles on this side. It's
It's just
2
two
different
ahead.
sets of goggles. So the goggles
Ready?
he had on his side allows him to see the side
Okay,
I
let's
just
cycle
got
out.
led across on. But then I pick up the second set of goggles, and I can see
Okay,
their
okay,
side,
ready?
and now it's going to be my job to lead them across this field. And I will tell you this. If you go to learn goggles, your
Alright.
first several
Okay.
times doing it, you're going to be really nervous.
There we go.
Your fingers are going to be sweating all
get
over the
ready.
keyboard. It's going to
Okay,
feel
number
like,
2.
oh my god, the world's going to end. But just remember, it's just a video game. That's all this is,
I
just a video
lagged
game.
and froze. I have to recheck my look.
Okay.
Nobody's
no
going to
worries.
die in real life if they
Oh,
just
you ready?
die in the video game.
Okay.
So in this instance, we only have, we have 4 blue tiles, but they're
Yeah,
not in
so
really good
cycle out.
locations. You can see I got 1 right there in the first position in row 1,
Cycling, okay, ready?
and then there's 1 over there in
Over
row
2.
4, And then so those are two basically toward the
Pause.
beginning.
Go ahead and face the
And
end.
then I've got two more down
Wait
here
for it.
way at the end. One in row
And
1
go to the
and one in
end.
row 3. So this is kind of a
Jump.
sucky puzzle, but
Thank you.
you know, we're gonna make it work. Here's another thing that I actually didn't know this until I had done Goggles for years. Is that the pattern, the way these tiles are phasing in and out, is the same every instance. Every time you do this raid, the tiles are phasing in and out in exactly the same pattern. What's different, which this I knew, what's different is the number of blues and their locations. But the rest of the tiles are phasing out the same every time you do this raid and phasing in the same. And they always phase in and out at a regular pattern too. So they're always going to be phased in for 10 seconds or whatever, and then they start to turn red, and then they'll be phased out for like 3 seconds. And then they phase back in for 10 seconds, then they start to turn red and phase out, and they'll be phased out for 3 seconds. So they phase out at regular intervals. You can always count on that. But like I said, it's the whole pattern is always the same every instance. It's just the number and location of blues. You might get none, you might get a whole bunch. So we don't really have good blue location. We have 4 of them, but there's like 2 at the start and 2 at the end. So there's usually sort of a little dance we do in row 4 when we have not very many or no blues to work with. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do in this instance. Probably will take him row 4. Let me just check it out, how this blue is going to make things work. So the way, if you're the leader, if you're leading somebody across, the way that you sort of want to sort of verify, you're gonna look at the so you're gonna look at the field, and you're trying to find a pattern that you can figure out how to lead them across. And when you're looking at this field of tiles phasing in and out, it can be very overwhelming. You're looking at this like, how can I make sense of any of this? This seems ridiculous. This whole game's ridiculous. What you really want to do is just try to just hone in, focus in on one row at a time, ignore everything else, and just look at one of the rows. I'm just going to look at row 4 right now. It's probably going to be, you just look at row 4, and you want to sort of imagine that you're out there. You know, you could just put the cursor out there if you want to, and imagine you're out there. And so you sort of you run along as they're phasing in to sort of test to see if you can figure something out. So I'm gonna pretend I'm at the edge of the platform out there in row 4, and I'm gonna wait for that one to phase in. I'm gonna see if I can find a pattern to make this work. Okay, I could go 1 tile. See, that just phased in. I could go 1 tile there, and the next one phased in. Then I can go over to the blue. So I can easily get them over to the blue. There was plenty of time to make that move. We just went 1 tile, and then we went 2 tiles. But let's see what we could do over here. Let's waiting for them to phase in. Okay, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, that one's phasing out though, so that was a little tight. 7, 8, 9, 10 to the end. Okay, so this might work. That one move's a little bit tight, but that location of the blue is actually seems like it might be in a pretty good location. Without that blue there, trying to do row 4 gets a little tricky. But let's see, we'll run across 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pause for a second, and then we wait for that one to come in, then we go there, wait for the next one to phase in, go there, and wait for the last one to phase in, and then we take them all the way to the end. So that could totally work, except that one spot is tight. So how do you know for sure if it's too tight? Well, you run it out yourself for starters, and if you can't do it, then your runner can't do it. But what if it's tight you doing it? What I like to do is you see there's human reaction delay, you know, and then there's like your voice latency. So to sort of compensate for that, if I'm testing a pattern to see if it like if I think it's close, then I want to test it out to see if I think my runner can do it. what I'll do is I'll wait 2 seconds before I start. And that waiting 2 seconds before I start would sort of compensate for any delay that they might experience. And I'll show you what I mean. So as I wait for this to phase in, I'm going to just give it 2 seconds before I go. I'm going to wait for it to phase in, then wait 2 seconds, and then go. Okay, so let's see. Phase in, 2. So now I'm going to go. And I waited 2 seconds before I started. Can I make it to that tile? That one's phasing red. Oh, it's so close. It's so close. I still made it, but it was just like by the skin of my teeth. But I could look at these other rows to see what's going on here. Let's look at row 2. There's row 2. It phased in. How far can I get? I can go here. There's 4. Oh, the next one's phased out. So can I pause them here and wait for that one to phase back in? Yep, it starts to turn red, but that was okay. And we move them here. Does that work? Yeah, that works too. We can move along here. Wait for the next one to phase in. I'm looking at that one. Ooh, this one's phasing out. That's a little tight. And then here. Oop, that one's phasing out. Back here. Is there time? So we go here, here, yep. So that could work. There was that one tight spot. Let's look at row 1. Okay, they got the blue tile in the first one. Okay, we're going to wait for the stuff to cycle through. That one's phasing out when the next one phased in. I don't like that. You can even move them between rows. So we move one tile here, we wait for the next one to phase in. Yeah, I don't like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiles. We could pause them right there. 1, 2. Oh, that one's phasing out, and that one's phasing out. Oh, that's tight. So we'd have them there, and that one phased out, and it's just that's too tight. So I don't like row 1. It's just getting too tight. Okay, we haven't looked at row 3 yet. Let's take a look at row 3. I'm going to lead you across in just a minute. I'm just talking through some things on the live stream. So I'm imagining I'm out there. I'm moving 2 spaces, waiting for the next one to phase in. I'm moving as far as I can. I've got to stop here, waiting for that one to phase in. And I'm moving over here. Oh, that one's phasing out, so I'd pause him here. And then, let's see, I guess I can get him here. And that one's phasing out, so I would have had to stop him here. Just waiting for the next one to phase in. Okay, now I can go here. 2, 3. Oh, that one's phasing out. I'd need to stop him here. And then 1, 2, 3. I kind of like row 3. Kind of like that. Let's try that again. Let's see what happens. So it was 2, and then that one's phasing out, and then 2, and then 1. I'm going to write this in. 2, 2, 1. And then is it 2? No, just 1. So 2, 2, 1, 1. And then 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 1, 1, 3. And then 1, 2, 3, all the way to the end. So end. So if this is the pattern I'm going to use for row 3, I'm going to write like this for my runner. 2-2-1-1-3-end. So he knows we're going to move him 2 tiles, pause, 2 tiles, pause, 1 tile, pause, 1 tile, pause, 3 tiles, pause, and then to the end. And he's following me. Remember, we're doing the mirror method. So he's going to see me up here. And he's just going to stay with me, mirroring my movements, moving when I move, stopping when I stop. Okay, let's give it a go. We both experienced a touch of lag, so this is a little scary. Thaddeus, you did this in the teaching raid, but you haven't done it since then, right? When we did this in March?
Nope.
Didn't. Okay. Well, I want you to go ahead and get your location by typing /LOC.
Yeah, I'm facing no number.
Okay. So the H number that we're wanting for they're going to be facing north. Before I was facing south when I was on the other side, but they're on the opposite sides. They want to face north, and the H number they want is 0. And when the H number is 0, it won't appear at all. It won't say H0. It'll just, the H number won't even be there. It won't say H anything. The H will just be gone. So they want their H number to set to 0, and then they're going to stray from that point. And then they're going to follow me. And I want to be, you know, I want to have displacement on. I want to have a red fire shield, whatever. It makes it easier to see me. You can even get naked for them. You know, it could be like pornographic goggles. You know, except I got this dark purple skin, so that's not helping. Alright, Shimon, I'm going to take you first. It's going to be 22113 end. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. What
Ready?
row?
Row 3.
All right, man.
Get ready. Just phased out. Go 2. Two. 1. 1. Long pause here. Next one's just phasing out. Get ready. 3. End. So it was a couple close spots, but he made it. I knew he could do it. He's a really good runner. Good job, dude.
You as well.
Thank you. And now, the real challenge of getting somebody across has never done it before. See if we can do this. Okay, Thaddeus. What you're going to be doing is mirroring my movement. When I move, you move. When I stop, you stop. All you got to do is stay with me at all times, and you're going to be alive. But if you don't stay with me,
I can do it.
you're going to die. So you know that you're only supposed to stray from this point, right?
Yep.
Okay. And you see me up here. You see me jumping up and down up here, right? Up on the second story?
Yep.
Okay. Remember, you're only strafing from this point. Move when I move, stop when I stop. I'm going to talk you through the whole thing.
Ready.
So that's our pattern. It's going to be 2 tiles, 1, 1, 3, then end. Alright. I'm going to let it cycle. Just phased out, get ready. Go 2. Go 2. One. One. Kind of a long pause here. Next one just phased out. Get ready. 3. Get ready. Go to the end. Great job, dude. That was your first time, right? Is your first time ever doing this?
Since the teaching rate, I did it the first time, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yep, Joshua, we just did it with 4. We didn't have any sign up, so I thought I'd bring a couple guildies and somebody who actually learned from our teaching rate in March, and we were showing how to do it short, and we went through every puzzle. So being the runner is a lot easier. That's the job you really need to sort of master before you, I mean, you don't need to, but I recommend mastering or getting really, really good at being the runner before you start leading others across, and it'll give you a feel for how things work. Leading others across is definitely the trickier part of this puzzle, but I've showed you how it's done. I have other videos on YouTube that talk about doing it, showing me practicing with some guildies, actually a few videos, so you can check those out if you want to see more about goggles. If you have any questions about any of this raid, let me know. Right now what we're going to do is just the final beat down of the Abbot. We're going to beat him down to 0, and then we win. I'm going to put my armor back on. Just put my armor back on, and then we're going to do it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and spot. Make sure you put your regular goggles on, otherwise you're going to go in there and not be able to see anything. Get ready, guys. I'm spotting. It's an Inferno. Do not come in. I put my Jeweled Cloak on, which is a spell absorption item. And I'm just going to stay in during the Inferno. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to let the Jeweled Cloak do its job, which is to absorb spells. And that's what it's doing right now, so I don't have to worry about the Inferno. If the Inferno subsides, I can switch to my normal cloak. Go ahead and come in, guys. I'm going to stay at the north edge, put it on auto attack. We'll go ahead and I'll do the wand at the north edge for anybody that wants it. For anybody if he does another Inferno. But I'm just going to put it here on auto attack. We just beat him down to 0 and we win. And you can see with 4 of us, and we're on elite, we're beating him down pretty quickly. So as I said, like if you just had a friend, you can come in here on normal. Bring your 30s in here. Come in here on normal. Beat him down. Go practice whatever puzzle you want to with your friend.
Good, everybody.
Great job, guys. Thanks for your patience while I explained it for the teaching, or for the for the live streamers who were learning. There were some people learning along with us. Thaddeus, you can do the honors, buddy.
If I zoomed in, it looked like I was soloing them.
Congrats.
Oh, you got the quiver. You were wanting that too, weren't you?
Actually, I'm on a different tune. If anyone wants it, it's up for roll. I already have one.
Okay.
Take it. You might need an extra one.
Oh, wait. Actually, I have an epic one, sorry. Actually, I do want this one.
Yeah.
This is what I need to upgrade for my run.
So this is another item. I'm going to explain it in just a minute. Okay, guys, that is it, and that's all. Don't forget to turn it in. Thanks for your patience while I explained it. Thaddeus, grats on your quiver.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Remember, you said that you were looking for that earlier tonight. Okay, guys, like I said, don't forget to turn it in, and have a great night.
Thanks, Mr.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for giving up that Isabella.
Okay, live streamers. So he just pulled the Quiver of Alacrity. You saw it happen live. And for those of you who don't know the Quiver of Alacrity, I want to explain this item for a minute, because this is actually one of the most sought after items in the game. I've talked about it in a lot of my series, especially when I'm doing like the first video of a series. It is such an awesome item, and here's why. And if you don't know it, you might not know. So when you saw the one that was in the chest, it just has ranged alacrity 10%, which is great for a range tune, no doubt. And it has no minimum level. So right there at level 1, you have ranged alacrity 10%. When you upgrade it using the Seal of the Black Abbot, which you can get from the raid chest, but the loot tables are broken. They should be fixing that soon. They're not dropping in the raid right now, but they're supposed to, and it's not a rare drop. It's relatively common. Like when we do this with a full group, we usually see 3 or 4 seals. But you can get a Seal of the Black Abbot from the Shield of Legends turn-in and Tome of Legends turn-in. The complete Tome or the complete Shield is guaranteed to be on the list. So when you upgrade this using a Seal of the Black Abbot, down there at the Fountain of Necrotic Might, right down there, right down the hill from where I am now, it adds Striding 30% to this item. No minimum level. So when you reincarnate, now you have Striding 30 at level 1, which is totally awesome to have a 30% Striding item at level 1. That's why for every class, this is one of the most sought after items in the game. The epic version of this doesn't work like that. It's the heroic version, the heroic Quiver of Alacrity, that has the ability. So any tune that you're serious about, if you like to TR, or if you like to reincarnate, racial reincarnate, or heroic true reincarnate, and you're going back to level 1, having that Quiver of Alacrity so you have Striding 30 at level 1 is so freaking awesome. So y'all just learned how to do Abbot if you didn't know already. So learn it, run it. Like I said, even though this is like a 9-year-old raid, it still has awesome loot. Like half the loot that drops in the raid is still really good. Quiver of Alacrity, Litany of the Dead trinket, the Unwavering Ardency. There's a cool sword. There's a cool cloak. There's a cool staff. Great stuff. So I'm going to shut down the live stream now. If anybody has any final questions about this raid, I'm going to be monitoring the chat for a few minutes. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and have a great night.